This is the case that has shaken Utah and sent shockwaves across the nation. Charlie Kirk, a nationally recognized conservative commentator, was gunned down in broad daylight at Utah Valley University. A campus meant to be a place of safety, of learning, suddenly became the scene of chaos, bloodshed, and panic. Students ran for cover. Faculty members froze in disbelief. The sound of a single rifle shot silenced an entire crowd. The man accused of pulling the trigger, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, a young man from a seemingly ordinary background, now facing extraordinary charges that could ultimately cost him his life. Prosecutors are pursuing the death penalty, but as shocking as the crime itself is, something even more unsettling appeared when Robinson faced a judge for the very first time. Viewers across the country tuned in, expecting emotion, fear, anger, maybe even remorse. Instead, what they saw was something far stranger. A blank expression, a body that barely moved, a demeanor that seemed disconnected from the gravity of the moment. And that raises the question, what does it mean when someone accused of capital murder sits in silence, showing none of the emotions we'd expect? Was it shock? Was it coldness? Or was it something much darker? A glimpse into the mind of a man who has simply given up. Tonight, we're going to break down exactly what we see, and more importantly, what we don't see. Because in body language, silence can be deafening. And in this case, it may speak louder than words. September 10, 2025. Utah Valley University in Orem. What was supposed to be just another stop on Charlie Kirk's American comeback tour turned into one of the most shocking political killings in modern U.S. history. That afternoon, hundreds gathered to hear Kirk speak. Cameras rolled, students filled the plaza, and security kept watch. But hidden from view, high above, on the rooftop of a nearby building, someone was waiting. Someone had come prepared. At 12:41 p.m., a single crack echoed through the campus. One bullet, fired from a bolt-action rifle, struck Charlie Kirk in the neck. He collapsed instantly, as students screamed and scrambled for cover. In a matter of seconds, what had been a routine campus event dissolved into chaos, fear, and disbelief. Authorities say the man behind that trigger was 22-year-old Tyler James Robinson. Within hours, police had launched a manhunt that would stretch across more than a day. Robinson vanished after the shooting, sparking lockdowns, raids, and urgent warnings across Utah County. For 33 hours, investigators searched desperately, using surveillance footage, witness accounts, and even drone sweeps to track him down. Finally, the breakthrough came. Robinson's own parents recognized him from images released by police. They contacted authorities, leading to his arrest. But the arrest was only the beginning. When detectives searched his home, they uncovered evidence that pointed to something chilling. Investigators say Robinson had left a note, tucked beneath his computer keyboard. It read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Prosecutors also revealed text messages Robinson sent before the shooting. In them, he spoke of being fed up with what he called hatred, writing, "Some hate can't be negotiated out." For investigators, this wasn't random violence. It was targeted, planned, premeditated. And with those discoveries came a heavy list of charges. Tyler Robinson now faces aggravated murder, Utah's most serious homicide charge. He is also accused of felony discharge of a firearm causing serious injury, obstruction of justice, and even witness tampering. But perhaps most significant of all is a special enhancement. Prosecutors say Robinson intentionally chose Charlie Kirk because of his political expression. In Utah, that's known as a victim targeting enhancement, and it makes the case eligible for the death penalty. This isn't just a murder trial, it's a political assassination case, and the stakes could not be higher for Robinson, for the legal system, and for the nation watching closely. September 15, 2025, Tyler Robinson steps into a Utah courtroom for the very first time since his arrest. The nation watches closely, waiting for a glimpse into the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. And what many expected was emotion, fear, rage, shock, something, anything that would betray the gravity of the moment. After all, this wasn't a minor charge. Robinson was facing words no one ever wants to hear. Capital murder, words that mean life in prison, or even death, could be waiting on the other side of a verdict. But what the public saw was something else entirely. Robinson sat still, silent, his face void of expression. No clenched jaw, no wide eyes darting around the courtroom, no nervous shifting in his seat, not even the subtle fidgeting most people do without realizing it. Instead, nothing. He blinked rarely, stared straight ahead, and almost seemed mechanical. as though the reality of the situation had not touched him at all. And that silence, that absence of normal human response, was louder than any words he could have spoken. Because usually, when someone faces charges that could cost them their life, their body reacts even if they don't want it to. We see tears, we see trembling hands, we hear gasps, sobbing, or sometimes defiance, shouting, angry outbursts, even desperation. But here, none of that. Just a still, blank young man sitting in front of a judge, listening as his crimes were laid out in stark, life-ending detail. And that raises the question, one we cannot ignore. If you were sitting in a courtroom, being told you could face the death penalty, what emotions would you show? Fear, panic, rage, remorse? Now ask yourself this. What does it mean when someone shows absolutely nothing at all? Now let's break this down. Because in courtroom analysis, it's not always what you see, it's what's missing. Let's start with concern. Typically, when someone hears life-ending charges, the face betrays it instantly. Eyebrows tighten, sometimes knit together, the forehead creases, the eyes narrow as the brain processes fear. But here, nothing. Robinson's brows remain flat, relaxed, almost as if he were bored in a classroom lecture. Next, grief and sadness. In most people, we see the corners of the mouth subtly drop. Sometimes the chin trembles. Even a blink too long or a tightened swallow can reveal an inner collapse. Robinson showed none of that. His mouth remained neutral, straight. His chin, still. The small signals of human despair, absent. Then, anger. And anger in the human face has a very particular pattern. The eyes widen and squint at the same time, a tightening born from adrenaline. You see lips pressed thin, nostrils flare, jaw clench. But once again, Robinson's face didn't give even a flicker of hostility. No rage, no tension, just blank neutrality. What about stress release? When humans are under extreme pressure, the body often tries to bleed off that stress. You'll see sighing, fidgeting, repositioning in the chair, maybe a nervous tap of the foot or a restless shift in posture. Robinson, he barely moved. He sat upright, still, almost locked into position, a posture more robotic than human. And perhaps the most telling clue of all, his blink rate. Under stress, most people blink between 15 and 20 times per minute, sometimes even more when adrenaline surges. In Robinson's case, practically flat. His eyes barely flickered. No natural rhythm, no sign of the nervous system working overtime. Just a steady and natural stare. This collection of missing signals, no concern, no grief, no anger, no stress release, and an abnormally low blink rate tells us one thing. What psychologists often call flat affect, an emotional shutdown. Now, why does this happen? There are three possibilities. 1. Resignation. Robinson may have already accepted his fate, mentally shutting down to avoid feeling. 2. Shock. His brain might still be frozen, unable to process the magnitude of what's happening. Or 3. Calculation. An attempt to project calm, to appear unfazed, to strip the courtroom and the public of any window into his emotions. And whichever explanation is true, it's not the presence of emotion that tells the story here. It's the absence, because silence in the face of death isn't natural. And sometimes, the quietest body language screams the loudest. So what does this mean? What does a blank face in the middle of a capital murder hearing really tell us? For prosecutors, this is powerful. They may stand before the jury and argue that Tyler Robinson shows no remorse, that his stillness, his empty expression, proves coldness, indifference, even cruelty. And in a death penalty trial, those impressions matter. But for the defense, the very same silence can be reframed. They may claim Robinson is in shock, numb from the weight of his charges. They could argue he's deeply depressed, struggling mentally, or emotionally broken down. They might even bring in experts to explain that this flat demeanor isn't evidence of guilt, but of trauma. And here's why it matters. Jurors notice everything. Every flicker of an eyebrow, every tremor in a voice, every tear, or lack of one. A single facial expression can tilt the balance between a juror perceiving remorse or deciding this person feels nothing at all. But we must be careful. Lack of visible emotion does not automatically equal guilt, and it doesn't prove someone is a psychopath. Some people shut down under extreme stress. Others come from cultural backgrounds where public emotion is discouraged. And some, when faced with overwhelming circumstances, simply freeze. In the courtroom, though, perception is everything. And silence, especially in the face of life or death, can become louder than words. The key question now is, will his behavior change? This first court appearance gave us a snapshot, but it's only the beginning. In later hearings, as the reality of a potential death sentence sinks in, we may start to see cracks. Stress often leaks through in subtle ways: restless eye movement, sudden blinking, shifts in posture, even small emotional breakdowns. Or, Robinson may go the opposite direction. He may double down on the stoicism, stay locked behind that blank expression, project an image of calm, control, or even defiance. Either way, what happens next in that courtroom will matter, because body language isn't just background noise, it's part of the unspoken battle. A battle between perception and reality, between how jurors read him, and how he truly feels. And make no mistake, that battle has only just begun. Charlie Kirk's death stands as one of the most high-profile political killings in recent years. And now, Tyler Robinson faces the ultimate punishment, the death penalty. His blank expression may appear to be nothing, but in the courtroom, silence can sometimes be louder than screams. So what do you think? Is Robinson detached, cold, or simply shut down under the weight of it all? I want to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join me next time as we continue to track this case and uncover the stories behind the silence.